Hey guys, so it's no surprise that The Boys season 5 was at the very least controversial. Is that fair to say? I think although the finale was decent, it didn't erase any of the issues I had with season 5. Although entertaining, it certainly did not make up for the lack of good writing throughout all of season 5. I do like the character endings for all of our main characters, but I do think that they would have felt more earned and more satisfactory if those characters had received character work throughout the entirety of the season, which they didn't. But throughout the season, I've been tracking a lot of core issues that I have with the writing of the season. So I wanted to go over the biggest issues or the biggest mistakes that The Boys season 5 makes. The first thing mainly to me that stood out from the very beginning of the series was the dialogue in this season is a far cry from what we have come to expect from The Boys dialogue, especially if you go back and watch season 1. Even with their satire, the extra layers aren't really there. Like, it's not really a critique of the capitalist structure anymore. It's more so just kind of meme farming and kind of, parody after parody after parody and trying to out crazy the real world, which I respect, but it doesn't really have that same biting, kind of cunning, kind of clever edge that the earlier seasons had to it. And that's both in dialogue and in story, but in dialogue, really, it's more of the same thing, like more kind of meme farming, kind of Reddit edgelord type of humor. And you just have some really just frankly, just bad lines like these.
Oh, wow. Your skin is so oily, like hugging a McRib.
I gotta drop a dookie. Get it? That's you. Ah! You're the dookie. Ah!
With some lines of dialogue on paper, it feels like the writers were just trying to fit in as many innuendo and as many curse words as possible in one sentence, which is just like, okay, you know what I mean? But I don't know, that just didn't really do it for me on a comedy front, because at a certain point it stopped being creative and started just being kind of gratuitous, and it's just kind of lost its flavor, so to speak, and just wasn't funny. Another thing, this season was a backdoor pilot for VOUGHT Rising, the new spin-off series, and there's a lot of irony there, mainly that this is something that VOUGHT would do with they would make a Dawn of the Seven series, and then it would just be a backdoor pilot for something else. That's just a very VOUGHT thing to do, and they're doing it in real life, and this season has suffered because they were trying to backdoor pilot VOUGHT Rising with all of the time devoted to Soldier Boy and the whole thing with Stormfront, but this is what Clara would want. Bombsight, that whole arc, everything with Bombsight and Goldie, and then obviously freezing Soldier Boy at the end. So he got unthawed at the beginning. I guess he gets frozen again at the end, so he does nothing. Just so we can watch VOUGHT Rising and I guess get some answers for Soldier Boy to shroud his character in mystery further, so we can follow up with the next series. That's just a horrible decision in my opinion. And this leads me to the next issue, that Soldier Boy is such an inconsistent character. He makes no sense. Soldier Boy's character sucks. First of all, he already served his purpose in season 3, and he's only back because Eric Kripke has a boner for Supernatural, and I get it, you worked on that show, that's great, but I don't think you needed to bring Jensen Ackles back again just to do absolutely nothing with him, except use him as a plot device to make decisions that are inconsistent with his character that only further the plot. First, he doesn't like Homelander, he tries to kill Homelander, and in the next episode, somebody else tries to kill Homelander, and then he's all, he's a weirdo, but he's my weirdo. Where did that come from? You've hated him the entire series. But then, even though he didn't want those guys to kill Homelander, he still wants the V1 for himself and doesn't want Homelander to have the V1. That's still consistent. Oh, wait, it's not, because he randomly gives the V1 to Homelander because that's what Stormfront would have wanted. And then the next episode, he's like, you know what? I don't mess with you. You're weird. I'm about to go to South America and abandon you. What? That doesn't make none of this makes sense. Nothing with his character makes sense. He might be the worst character in The Boys season 5. His character is abysmal here. And it sucks because Jensen Ackles is good in that role, but it doesn't mean that the character itself doesn't suck, because it sucks. Anyways, next thing, this is kind of another way that it's jarring when you compare it to season 1 and even 2 and even 3. To me, Homelander was a huge issue with this season in that Antony Starr is still amazing and he's trying his absolute best. However, I felt that Homelander was significantly less menacing in this season. I mean, he feels like a caricature of himself at a lot of points. Because you can tell that the directors and writers, like, they want to get more memes, and you can tell that they set things up perfectly to be memed. And that is a talent that they have. But I think even outside of that, even though the way his character is written, with the homicide thing, and with all of the heavy-handed satire, and even the things that Homelander was doing for the majority of the season weren't really even that menacing. He was kind of just like a spoiled little brat, which I get that at the core of his character, he is just a spoiled brat. But he is still a spoiled brat that is the most powerful person on the entire earth. So therefore, he is supposed to be scary. Do you remember how scared? Do you remember how tense you would be in season 1 and 2 when Homelander showed up in the room? He's very intimidating there. Like, he just doesn't have that aura this season. He just, like, his character just became such a parody of himself. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but the menacing factor just wasn't there, and it wasn't because of Antony Starr. It was because of the way the character was written. Another is pretty obvious, is the pacing. I think this is everyone's major critique, is that it feels like that there wasn't a whole lot of weight to the season, and there wasn't a whole lot of momentum to the season. Like, episode 7 was kind of the biggest example of this. I mean, it's the penultimate episode of the entire series, and we get like a 2 to 3 minute scene of like two soups sniffing each other's butts, which is just like, okay, like we can't have that here. Like, not here. You know what I mean? Like, not at this point in the series. And that's the recent example, but there's so many examples of that where just the pacing was just so off, and they were spending so much time on things that were ultimately incredibly unimportant in a time where we need to get to all of the important stuff with all the characters that we have grown to love and to know over the course of the 5 seasons. Another thing is there are very few arcs for anyone aside from, like, I guess maybe the Deep and kind of Kamiko and Frenchie. Other than that, none of the boys really have much of a character arc throughout this particular season. Huey is just completely forgotten about. Like, does anyone remember Huey? Like, at once upon a time, he was the main character of this show, or arguably one of the 3 main characters of this show. And he just gets no character development or character work throughout the season at all. And this is someone who was like the main character of the show at one point. So that felt very jarring to me. Okay, next thing, for the most part, the character deaths had very little impact on the story, and they didn't really contribute much to the stakes. I mean, people got on Stranger Things 5 for, how can there be stakes if you don't kill enough characters? You guys have to start killing your characters. But to me, this proves that it's not about just how many bodies you drop, because they drop plenty of bodies. It's not about that. It's all in the writing. Like, A-Train died, and that didn't feel like it significantly raised the stakes, because the next episode, I believe, is when they spend the entire episode with like the Molten Man and like his molten balls. So that's the next episode after that. So like, okay, those stakes are gone. Firecracker died. I don't even know if they even talked about it. There's maybe one scene referencing it. Okay, but that seems like a major thing because we spent a lot of time with her over the past 2 seasons. Nope, you don't care? Oh, okay. Well, I guess I don't care either. Black Noir, he dies. Nothing really comes of that. Frenchie's death probably came the closest to having an impact on the story. But by then, there was no real sense of momentum for the season until the end of episode 7. That's when you first felt the momentum. And to me, that's too late. The momentum should be building throughout the entire season. And the way you do that with character death is by exploring the impact it has on the other characters or on the universe and the world at whole. And they still have to feel like they mean something beyond, oh guys, we're really dropping bodies this season. Oh, we just killed this person. Wow, you didn't expect that, did you? Like, okay, maybe I didn't expect it, but like, does that mean anything, or did you just want to kill somebody in this scene? And it's cool that A-Train got his redemptive arc that he got to finish off from season 4, but once again, his death should be way more significant because he is one of the more major characters of this show. I believe he's, besides Homelander, Butcher, and Huey, he's the only other character that to that point had appeared in every episode of the series. And it felt like a big deal when he died in the moment, but there was really no cascade effect afterwards. And even with Frenchie, there's really no cascade effect besides like just making everyone angrier, I guess. But they already wanted to kill Homelander anyways. Okay, next thing. They lose sight of the fact that VOUGHT is the real villain. And that goes back to my thing of what I was saying, how season 1 and 2 was a satire and a real takedown of the American capitalist system and American media empires. It was a takedown of that through showing VOUGHT as the villain of the series, and Homelander was just a representation of that. But when you trace the source, even of Homelander and his existence and his trauma and his pain, that's because of VOUGHT. So it all kind of traced back to VOUGHT. And this season just kind of forgets that. It just, now Homelander's the villain, and now he wants to be the messiah of the Democratic Church of America, which, okay, I thought that was kind of stupid as well. And it loses sight of the fact that, once again, VOUGHT is the real villain behind this entire world. They're the reason why, or one of the reasons why, this world is in such a disheveled place. And it became less of a critique on the structures and systems that America was built on, and more of just a current events parody, like SNL. Another problem is Sister Sage and her entire existence and her entire character and everything that has to do with Sister Sage. That was the most shoddily written character. Whenever writers try to write smart characters, quote unquote smart characters, they always just make themselves look more dumb. Because there's no way an actual smart person, super smart person, would behave like her overall plan was just to start a war between supes and humans so she can chill in her cabin alone without people bothering her. Like, there are other ways to achieve peace and quiet that aren't starting an entire world war between superheroes and humans. Like, there are other ways to get peace and quiet. Like, just move to South Dakota. Like, no one's gonna find you there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many ways to do this. Like, why do you need to start an entire war to achieve that goal? Also, how is your answer for achieving peace and quiet to start a world war? That's like the opposite of peace and quiet. Like, what? And you're a soup. Like, why would that be your plan? And then they finally had a chance to get the V1, and she calls up Soldier Boy? Like, why would you do like, I'm so smart, blah, 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 but I forgot to account for love and the fact that Bomb Sight would get lost and the fact that he's in love with Goldie, and like, she didn't account for that messing up her plan. But why would you invite and call Soldier Boy in the first place? Like, that just doesn't make any sense for achieving what you wanted to achieve. And my last thing is, and this just might be a personal thing, but they spend 5 seasons basically trying to figure out how to kill Homelander, only to randomly happen upon a plan in the penultimate episode that really came out of nowhere. Like you spent 5 years trying to kill him, and you end up using nothing that you've learned over the past 5 years or 5 seasons, to the point where it almost feels like it was kind of for nothing. Like, you, in the penultimate episode, you just decide, hey, we're gonna irradiate. They're gonna irradiate the only Japanese character in the show, which is a little crazy. I don't know, but anyways, yeah, we're gonna irradiate Kamiko, and just to make her more like Soldier Boy, so she can like beat Homelander now. It's like, all right. We can just do that. All right, I guess we're doing that. You know what I mean? Like, I guess just scrap everything that we've been trying to achieve for the past 5 seasons. Let's just randomly come up with a plan that works in the penultimate episode. Yeah, that's cool. So, yeah, I mean, there are a lot of issues with this season. Not to say that it was a bad actually, no, I think I am saying it was a bad season. Yeah, this was a bad season of television. I'm not going to lie to you. And this is coming from someone who really liked season 1 and 2, who honestly loved season 3. And I decently liked season 4. I saw some cracks, but I was okay with it. But I completely lost interest by, I think, episode maybe 5 or 6 of this season, and it just never really won me back. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. Am I being too harsh on this season? Are there some things that are good about it that I kind of overlooked? Or if you agree with me, let me know what other problems you had or what other issues you had with the season or things that you noticed in the comments below. And as always, like and subscribe for more film content, superhero, comic stuff, reviews, everything. And I'll see you next time.